Reddit. A wide place of variety. Not a lot really happens here until you start digging deeper. Well, tonight, we'll be diving headfirst into a post that I found on the relationship advice subreddit.
This is their story.
On December 30th, 2019, at about 8:19 p.m., a Redditor of the name ThroRADadProblem would make a post asking for help about their dad and his weird addiction to exotic meats. Their post is as follows. My dad has an obsession with buying exotic or illegal animal meat, and it's why my family fell apart. So my dad has always been kind of a strange guy, but I never really noticed. I was used to it, and that's just who he is. He isn't mean, but doesn't talk much. Very busy with work, doesn't seem to be interested in anyone's life, that kind of thing. When I was a kid, gradually our relatives stopped visiting. My dad wasn't in contact with his family, but my mom's used to be around a lot. Then they stopped. I remember hearing my mom fighting with her parents a couple times. I gather they didn't like my dad, and I haven't seen my cousins in years. We used to be close as kids. I was never one for social media, but recently reactivated my Facebook and decided to look up some of my relatives on a whim. I messaged my cousin I was closest to and also my aunt. My cousin didn't seem to know why we hadn't seen each other, but my aunt said I should ask my mom. It wasn't the sort of thing I should hear from my aunt type thing. Mind you, I'd asked my mom before a few times. She always said they were too busy to visit. I was really confused and we ended up having a long conversation yesterday. I had to insist on a real answer. Now I'm horrified at what I found out. Her family's freaked out by my dad because a few years ago when they came for dinner, this was a bunch of people, not just my aunt and cousin. They found out what he said was beef was actually kangaroo meat. My mom had specifically gone out of her way to make the meal herself because she knew my dad had done this before, so she banned him from cooking, but he secretly swapped the meats during some point she wasn't in the kitchen. She admitted to her family he was constantly doing this to us. Yeah, now I know I've eaten a ton of gross shit he said was beef or chicken, and whenever I didn't like something it's probably because it wasn't what he said. She told me that he's been obsessed with trying exotic meats for years. Now looking back, I remember times I saw weird unlabeled meat packages in the basement freezer. I just never thought to inspect it. She said he has spent thousands and thousands of dollars in getting them. They're rare and cost a lot, plus travel cost and paying off his contacts who pass information about where he can find whatever he's looking for. It's driven my parents to the verge of financial ruin multiple times. My mom has also said they've nearly divorced a few times. I used to hear them fighting sometimes as a kid, now I guess I know why. Some of the things he said are weird to standard Americans, but I realized that might not be that weird in other places. The kangaroo and horse for example, wolf, camel, shark fin soup. Some is questionable I guess, such as something called ortolan bunting and seafood eaten while still alive. Then some of it is straight up illegal. Like she said, he once killed and ate a bald eagle. He hunts normal game, which I knew, but also protected species. He's obtained bushmeat, meat from African wildlife that's illegally imported here. This includes stuff like rats, various monkeys, chimpanzee, apes, and gorillas, pangolin, porcupine, civets, and giraffe. From what my mom knows, he bought these from some markets in New York that sold it in immigrant communities. It became even worse with other exotic animals. He has gone so far as to travel to other countries specifically to hunt/get meat from particular animals. These have included zebra, cheetah, elephant, hippo, Bengal tiger, endangered rhino, in places in Southeast Asia and Africa. He went somewhere in the Caribbean to hunt and eat dolphin. Brazil for anaconda. My mom says that a trip he's going on next month to China is specifically to try to find a way of eating Chinese salamander and panda meat. It's seriously illegal there to kill pandas. And he's been like that about some of the other ones I mentioned that are also rare or under protected status, like some types of gorillas and orangutans. Who hears of an endangered animal and thinks, haha, I want to eat that? My mom has to snoop on his laptop to keep an eye on what he's doing since he stopped talking about it. He knows she doesn't approve, but she can't do anything. They just pretend it's not happening, and she reads his emails with context whenever he mentions needing to go on a trip for work. She says it sounds like these people are involved in foreign animal trade networks. He's very secretive. She has to deliberately wait for a minute he's in the bathroom with the computer logged in. She's been terrified for years that any day he's going to get arrested. They, my mom and younger siblings, rely on my dad's salary. My mom is disabled with a chronic illness and cannot work, so would only have disability checks to get by on. I don't know what to do. My family's on the brink of falling apart and I never knew. I will never look at my dad the same again. This is really disgusting to me. My mom can't divorce him because they rely on him. She won't talk to her family about it because they just tell her to divorce. I know she's very anxious, but I feel like I've almost lost respect for her because she knew the whole time and never at least warned me. I'm also pretty sure she has lied to me saying we never had a cat when I was little, except I remember it and don't remember what happened to it, which now I'm sick thinking maybe my dad did something. My mom insisted I was thinking of someone else's cat, but there's a photo of me as a little girl with that cat on my bed. I'm in college on the other side of the country and only home for a few more days. My mom made me promise to never say a word to my dad. He'd kill me, quote unquote. This is also f***ed up to me. I'm really worried about them and what they'll do if he's caught. What can I do? Should I confront him, or should I convince my mom to leave? Get her family involved? It's like disarming a bomb. I don't want to do anything that would just blow everything up, but I cannot imagine him just getting to continue to do whatever he wants. Many Redditors started to give their opinions as to what they thought of the situation and the best course of action. One Redditor that stood out to me made a very good assumption as to what Opie's father's reason for doing this might be. That comment is as follows. Your dad seems mentally ill, not because of the weird meat, but because of the f***ed up behavior around it. There are people who basically collect exotic meats or other foods by eating them, the same way others collect countries by visiting them. It can be an expensive pursuit, but he's pursuing it more like an addiction than a hobby, to the point of self-destruction. And the part where he tries to make the family complicit by sneaking rat meat into your burgers, that's just plain weird. I'm gonna guess getting him into psychotherapy is probably a no-go, but he needs it. I agree with this. It sounds like Opie's father has more of an addiction to exotic meats than it just being some normal hobby. About an hour later, Opie would reply with, "That's a good point that it could be just a thing about novel experiences, but the illegal part is what gets to me. It's not illegal to travel or try a bunch of foods in restaurants. He's eating and sometimes killing species he's not supposed to, and buying some of the meat on a black market or bringing it himself. That part is really crazy to me. And yeah, I'm seriously sickened by the thought of what I might have eaten because of him. I want to help my mom, but I also hate that she has to let this go on. I feel like I can't trust either of them now." That same Redditor would call out OP on them describing their father as crazy, them suggesting mental illness. OP would then ask what type of mental illness this could be, and another Redditor replied with, "I was thinking maybe some type of obsessive compulsion. I know most people associate this disorder as obsessive cleaning, but I'm thinking maybe he's become obsessed with eating every type of animal in the world, and he's clearly letting this obsession dictate his life and interfere with his life. Take time off work, cut off from family, go to financial ruin, risk his marriage. He definitely should see someone to see why he needs to eat these exotic meats, because it seems like a need for him if he's willing to put so much at risk for his hobby. And honestly, with the switching the meats thing, I don't know your dad at all, but I'm wondering if he's normalized the exotic meat eating thing so much that he wanted to share it with his family, not realizing that other people might be freaked out by the concept. Like when you're a kid and your mom tells you that your fish sticks are actually chicken, except your dad did that with kangaroo. I'm thinking in some warped way he's trying to share his obsession and maybe was hoping other people would understand his obsession, since it's clearly very important to him. It seems like this could be it. It seems like OP's father is trying to share their obsession of exotic meats with the rest of the world, even though they don't know it's creepy. Another Redditor decided to give some legal advice as to what to do in this situation. Their comment is as follows. OP, what your father is doing breaks international law. If you live in the US, and I assume you do, contact the FBI. Tell them what's on the laptop and where it is. Do not tell your parents. What your father is doing is the type of thing people get life sentences in prison for, and in many countries executed. If caught among other poachers in Asia, forces may shoot him on sight and have the legal authority to do so. I must repeat, do not tell your parents anything if you report your father. You don't want your dad to destroy the laptop, and you don't want him becoming violent if he's tipped off. This is great advice here. OP should absolutely contact the authorities in case your father is killing endangered species. Well, after all this, there was radio silence. The post had collected almost 400 comments, with lots of great advice given by Redditors. However, on February 2nd, 2020, at 9:26 p.m., OP would make a whole new post detailing an update to their situation. The update is as follows. Well, it's gone really bad. A couple of days after I posted and went back to school, and a few days after that my mom called me. She'd woken up to him gone and an email saying he had to leave for China earlier than expected, citing some issue at his company. He took off as soon as he got word something was happening in case it was going to prevent his trip, my mom thinks. But it gets worse because apparently with increased security there, something looked suspicious and he was detained last week. While mom had federal agents coming to interview her, that was Friday. They had a warrant to search the apartment but didn't take anything because he brought all of his electronics with him. She says she was told they have a reason to believe he's involved in an international animal trafficking and poaching ring. She hasn't had any contact with him yet because whoever's holding him isn't granting it. We don't even know exactly where he is in China. She was just told she needed to cooperate and his safety was being handled. Obviously there's probably a lot more than they're saying because it's a serious crime and I imagine diplomatic relations are tense at this moment, but honestly, he put himself there. The Chinese authorities have every reason to arrest him. My mom has shared what she knows with the American agents, some of the stuff I said in my last post. I told her to get a lawyer, because who knows even if knowing about that stuff and not reporting is a crime too. My dad deserves this, but my mom had no part in what he was doing. If something happens to her, I don't know what's going to happen with my siblings. I'm really scared for my family, and furious with my dad for doing this to us. I'm seriously considering taking a leave this semester and going home to try to help my mom. She's practically having a mental break. She decided to not tell my siblings the real reason why my dad is gone, so their imaginations are running wild. I've reached out to my aunt again, but she hasn't seen the message yet. I don't really trust my mom to manage finding a good lawyer, dealing with this, and taking care of my siblings at the same time. On top of it, her chronic illness has flared up for the stress. She spent all yesterday in bed from pain. So that's where we are now. I didn't get a chance to take the advice on my last post about where to report him. Was doing more research first, but that turned out to not matter. Thank you to everyone who wished the best for my family. If I were OP, I would have contacted the authorities a long time ago before coming to Reddit for advice first. But maybe that's just me. At least we received an update, and unfortunately from it, it seems like OP's father is arrested but stuck in China. There was no further update from this post, and after looking at their post history, it was clear it was a throwaway account, hence the name. Well, that's it guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, consider liking the video and subscribing to my channel. I will start live streaming every once in a while, so stay tuned for that. My Patreon is in the description, so if you wish to support me on there, it's much appreciated. Let me know what you thought of this post. Did you think it was real or fake? Personally, I thought it was fake. There's a lot of things I would have done if I were OP before coming to Reddit. But anyway, that's it guys.
Have a nice day.